In Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Rolled up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future we can't vanish. It's 325 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football and welcome back to another episode of TACT-EAGLE. And guys, I may not have been here for a while, but I am back.
Oh, sorry.
I am back. Bless you, man.
Thank you.
Quick one before we start. Thank you, everyone, for 3K, because I don't think I've actually been on the channel since we hit 3K, but we are on 3,099 subs, so one more and it's 3,100. So big up everyone subscribing and joining the channel as of late. This is our first home game of the Conference League, which is very exciting. This Thursday is going to be a very good day. The club is now selling the Conference League patches on the shoulders, so if you haven't got it, go get it, because I'm definitely going to go get it this week or next week or whenever. I think it's a tenner, so it's not too much, not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to be fair, this was one of those ones where me and Dan were scrambling around a little bit, thinking, are we going to be able to find anything? But to be fair, I think we found quite a lot, and I think this will be quite an interesting one because of how they play. But today, I'm doing the defense, but I am hosting. So because I haven't been here for a few weeks, I'll host this one, and then I'll host the next one, and then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled whoever does the attack hosts. So, Dan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to Thursday. We are very, very slowly nearing a sellout. I think there's about 1,000 tickets left. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I was meant to be working a night shift, but I have taken it off to watch this game.
Ooh.
And yeah, I'm just excited. Like, I mean, just Palace in Europe is crazy, isn't it? Really, it is really crazy. But yeah, I'm good. How are you, JC?
I'm good. It feels like I haven't done one of these in a while. But yeah, I am all right. I think before we actually start talking about this game, I think that we should touch on this very, very briefly. The under-21s are playing against Stevenage in the EFL Cup for like Youth Cup and stuff like that. I think it's Papa John's trophy, isn't it? And here's the team, and it's very strong. So
have they kicked off yet? Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Within that team, you've got Uche, Esse, Rodney, Cardines, and Jemade all starting, who are. And to be fair, I thought that there would have been a possibility that those guys would have been in the squad, or maybe one of them starting in this game. But that would be ruled out completely. I think the most they would do is be on the bench now. So all these players, they're not starting the game. So
yeah,
I wouldn't say it's thrown a spanner in the works, because I think we all know that Glasgow's going to go full strength no matter what. But I think it is quite interesting that this almost confirms that some of those guys are definitely not playing.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm just looking at it because obviously it's already kicked off. It was Stevenage winning 2-0
already.
So I'm kind of glad I didn't go. Yeah, Lee own goal, and then Malcolm, I don't know who that is, has scored for Stevenage. Yeah.
It's a very
shout out to Drake Thomas though, because he's not long turned 17, so fair play to him for getting a start in this game.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that's just something to throw out there, really.
Yeah.
So, before we actually get into this, I thought I'd give you guys some baseline stats, and I'm sure me and Dan are going to delve into this a little bit more later. But right now, Larnaca are 5th in their Cypriot table with 4 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. They have a +6 goal difference. On average per 90 this season in the Cypriot League, they've scored 2 goals per game, but they've also conceded 1.1 goals per game. And the stat that I'm going to talk about quite a lot more later, because it's quite damning when you talk about how they defend and how they are. I think Dan might actually talk about this a little bit as well. This season, in 7 games, They have made 29 errors which lead to shot creating actions. Not great.
There's a lot.
Cool. I just remembered something, Dan. I
What,
didn't
11s?
familiarize myself with the animations.
I think it's the first one.
Let's hope for the best. Jeez. So, injury time. So, for Crystal Palace, obviously, we're going to use what we normally use, preminjuries.com. They say Chadi Riyad still with a knee injury. He'll be back on the 22nd of next month. So, to be fair, that's come around pretty quickly. Check the call rate is the 8th of next month. So, you could see him appearing on the bench pretty soon, depending on how his recovery is going. Pardon me. And Kalo Kapoor has still got a back injury with no return date whatsoever. So, that's probably a lot worse than we actually think because he's been out for months.
That's not been. I mean, I don't know if they updated that much. I'm pretty sure Decore got delayed, but like Kalo Kapoor's one's been on there for ages, like, and it's not changed. So I'm a bit. I don't know if they're keeping it quiet or if it's because he's a youth player or what. Like,
to be fair, on there, their way of like updating it is from press conferences. I don't think Glaz has been asked about Kapoor for ages either.
Okay, so maybe it's that there. Maybe
which
it's
is
just
probably why it's not been updated.
No, it's fair enough.
If anyone in the chat knows, then that'd be quite handy if you know if he's playing in the youth team or not. It wouldn't surprise me if he's playing in the youth team and they're just not talking about it. But for Larnaca, obviously we can't use preminjuries.com because they don't play in the Premier League. So I've used Transfermarkt. They've got some quite significant injuries actually. So Angel Garcia, who's a left back, he's their captain. So club captain and on the field captain. With a muscle tear with no return date, so it's got to be quite a serious one. Kevin Kumar, which is their starting goalkeeper, so they're going to be playing a reserve goalkeeper who's 35 years old. That doesn't mean anything in goalkeeper terms, but still, with a broken hand, and that's probably a little while. Karol Angielski, who is one of their strikers who scored against Legia in their Europa qualifier with a muscle injury. And Enzo Cabrera, who is also a striker, who also scored in the second leg against Legia Warsaw, is also out with a knee injury. So they are 2 strikers down with their starting goalkeeper and their captain as well. So quite significant injuries all in all. So because of that, I have gone with these teams. So for us, I've basically gone Lemon and Herb, standard. Henderson in goal with Gay, Lacroix, Richards at the back, Mitchell Munoz as our wing backs, Kamada Wharton in the middle with Pino, Ismail Assar, and John Philippe Mateta up top. Dan, what are we saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think Glasser said in his press conference the other day that he wasn't, as long as they get given the go ahead by the medical staff to play, then they'll play. I mean, personally, and I know you probably won't necessarily do this, but I would like to see Canvo play instead of Richards. I think Richards obviously played for the US, and I think Tim said on the review that they were quite like important games as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing Canvo play instead. To be honest, though, other than that, considering that Esse's playing tonight and Uche's playing tonight, I mean, the only other argument you can maybe make is Nketiah, but then Mateta scored a hat-trick at the weekend.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe Nketiah plays instead of Pino, perhaps. But, I mean, other than that, there's not really any... Or the only other argument I think you could maybe make, perhaps Devaney playing for Mitchell, which was a shout we had on the review as well. But other than that, I don't know really. I think
I know he's not. I know he got sent off in the last game.
Yeah,
didn't
he's that's what I mean. He's banned for this game. I suppose you could maybe say Hughes or Lerma in somewhere in there, but yeah, I don't think he will. And to be fair, like I've been thinking about it, and like obviously I want us to rotate a bit more because of like the workload, and all that stuff they're going to have. But then thinking about it as well, like if we just get like the first 3 games and we win our 3-4, the first 3 or 4 games, we're basically through already. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, I mean, I know Glasser's probably not going to think like that, but then, you can kind of say, okay, maybe the Shelbourne game and the Cups game is when obviously then the normal sort of midweek sort of
Yeah,
stuff
because
starts kicking in.
to be fair, I
Maybe
can
you could rest.
understand. I can understand what Glasner said with, I'll never go to a game thinking we'll sack it off and we'll rest players and this and that. He's not that kind of manager. But I
Yeah.
think in a way you have got the Arsenal game on the weekend as well, and then
Yeah.
Liverpool coming up as well. I reckon that Glasner fancies that Liverpool game, if I'm really honest. So
I
I
think so
reckon
too.
if he's going to put his eggs in any basket, he's going to put it in this game and the Liverpool game over the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
But he's always going to want to try and win every game, as he's said multiple times.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I don't expect any changes. Maybe Canva would be the only one for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. If I remember, I'll tell you.
So for Larnaca, they play in like a rotational formation, really. So they do play essentially a 4-3-3, where when they have the ball, so that'll be 4 at the back, 2 8s and a 10. So it's not like a 6-8-10, it's 2 8s and a 10. And then with a front 3 with wingers, but they're sort of like inside forwards, I guess. Obviously, because of their injuries, they've had to jig this around a little bit, but we'll go through it. So, to be fair, this isn't as bad as the Kiev and the Fredrikstad team names, because some of those I just had no idea. But we're going to give this a good go anyway. So, Almarovic in goal with Izquierdo left back, Roberg, Milicevic, and Ekpolo at the back, with Pons, Roden, Miramon in the 10, Chakon, Bajic, and Ivanovic up front. Dan, I've just picked their last first 11 really, with a few changes depending on injuries.
I'm not going to pretend to know if these players I picked are necessarily better, but I just went with a team that they played against RZ. So very, very similar players, but then you've also I've like got Ledez, Gnarly, Marin, Roden in there. Yeah, I mean, whether they're better or not, I don't know.
I've got no idea either. Unfortunately, I don't watch the Cypriot League, so
I couldn't find anywhere to find any Cypriot games really.
Yeah. Do you want to take us through some comments before we move on?
Yes. Big up the dog. Those reports were true. Disbelief for how Uche is in the under-21s. I know some more comments. I'll talk about them in a minute. There is a lot of talent in him, but I agree with Earth and big up Earth. I agree. I think Glasser's probably not happy with him. It was a bit. I don't necessarily think it was a red, but I think that's enough for Glasner to kind of kick off a little bit about it. I mean, we've seen it with SA.
I don't know. I think he's a very lucky boy not to get a red card for that, because I've seen them give red card for worse. And even though it might be, I don't know, he might have wanted it to be a push, but it's still off the ball. It's still unnecessary, and it's still like it had a bit of force behind it, so it could be like I think it was a closed fist as well, so it could be anything. Like it could be interpreted by anything. And to be fair, I reckon he got away with one. And like you said, SA did less. SA didn't run with the ball properly, and Glasner had a go at him and hardly played him since. And this, I reckon he's banished him to the 21s for a few weeks, to be fair, because he should be featuring in these kind of games, because he's played European football at Getafe.
Yeah.
And he'd be good experience for these kind of games. But clearly, Glasner needs to make a point to him that no one's bigger than the manager. And I don't blame him for that, because he was stupid.
No, absolutely. And yeah, like regardless of what it was, like he's making the refs or the VAR to make a decision, and at the end of the day, you just don't want to give them that decision to make. I mean, looking at SA, he looks like he's done well in the under-21s and looks like he will be
I think
hopefully featuring soon. But
England 21s are impressed with him as well. I remember reading somewhere.
yeah, and absolutely. And at the end of the day, like we got to remember, like football very much is a confidence game. So the more confident your player, like if you're gonna,
And he's 20.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like I know we're going a bit off piste here as well, but I do think a lot of people forget with SA, we were meant to sign him this summer. We only signed him in January because we wanted just to get ahead of everyone else. So the original plan was this summer. So I think you got to give him a bit of leeway there as well. Big up chairman, big up Mr. Pecker. Big up Mary. I think Gusner is quite clear on self-discipline. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Big up Jake. And yeah, we agree. He got dropped for that reason. Big up Durfez. All we need to sub some players for the congestion. Yeah, I agree. A bit of rotation, I think, would not help us, would help us a lot. Big up Lord Everything Trains. Big up Rich. JC, you've been missed.
Oh,
It's been a long time. Big up Ian. We'll be there on Thursday night. Yeah, we'll be there as well. And yeah, as Rich says, come say hello to us. And in the fan zone after the game, if you got time, we'll be doing some fan cams after the game. I'm guessing, maybe. I'm not sure. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, 2-0 Stevenage. We haven't done very well. 12 players on the bench we can have. I think 2 of them have got to be goalkeepers, don't they? So 10 outfield players.
So that's Remy and Benitez.
Yeah.
Or do you think Benitez starts? Because he started.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, he probably will start. Yeah, he probably will. He'll be our cup goalkeeper. Yeah, actually, yeah, he'll start. So Hendo and Matthews on the bench, and then 10 more. Like you say, if you're not having SA and Uche and Cardines in there, who are you having?
To be fair, I reckon they'll be on the bench. I just don't think any of them are going to start.
Yeah,
I don't think. To be fair, if you've got 12 people on the bench, I don't think they'll play either, unless it's like really desperate.
No, I don't think so because it's still 5 subs, isn't it? It's still 5 subs, I think. So, yeah. So, like to see Cambo starting over Richards, but I imagine it'll be Lerma. To be honest, I think if Richards doesn't play, I think he will pick Cambo. I think Lerma would play if he decides not to play Gay for whatever reason. But I can't see that happening. Yep, Sosa suspended. The under-21s are having a mare against Stevenage. 3-0 is 3-1 now. Apparently they've only had 1 shot, obviously 2 now. Devaney left wing back. King scored for the 3-1. These early starts are disturbing my drinking patterns. Early starts for what? This?
Kevin lives in Australia.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. I guess, yeah. So what time would the game be in Australia? Yeah, it must be quite early in the morning then. If there's any rotation, it will be Devaney and Lerma over Mitchell and Richards. Can't see Ollie rotating even more, even though it'd be nice for Canvo to get minutes. I can see that. Apparently, Lord Everything Trains likes trains.
Big up, Nick.
And then there's a discussion about American trains. And then, the 12 subs, we will be on the bench.
You see Rich on the bench.
Yeah. Can anyone play backup right wing back?
All right, so we're going to go to the attack. And I'm going to have a shot in the dark and hope that I hit the right one.
It's the third one.
Well, you're taking the fun out of it now, Dan. Ooh.
Before I get into it, I just want to apologise.
I've seen a thing of Woody Johnson is on. He's repping the badge.
Get the badge in.
Get that badge in, lad.
Before we start, I just want to apologise to Kevin for saying Australia. Sorry,
I said Zealand. Australia. I apologise.
We apologise profusely. 8 a.m. What is that? Is that now or is that when the game kicks off? Is that when the game kicks off on Thursday?
Probably.
Right. So, what have I got for everyone today? So Larnaca stats. The first bullet point I put was can't find any because yeah, as you can imagine, like the league isn't even on FB Ref, so
To
I'm a
be
bit
fair,
stuck
the
there.
only stats I managed to get were from SofaScore.
Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah, 14 goals in the Cypriot League, which from what I could see, it wasn't low, but it wasn't high. So yeah. But anyways, how do they want to play? Generally, there are two ways that they will play football. One, they'll either build out from the back and they will try to, work the ball slowly up the pitch and then do their thing, blah, blah, blah. Or they hit you on the counter attack. Now, my personal opinion is that they are more at home hitting people on the counter. The reason why I say that is because when they do hit people on the counter, so let's chuck all of our players up here. I'll come back to the other way in a minute. But let's say we've got our players here. We're doing our thing. Blah blah blah. We're looking something like this. Let's say right. And I don't know how they defend. I wasn't paying attention to that bit. So let's just stick them all here, and then they're kind of like this. I think JC said it was something like that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but one of their Pons,
Yeah.
he'll drop into right centre back.
Right. Okay.
And
So
then there's
if
back five like that.
Okay, so if we just kind of leave it like that for now, then let's just say that they win the ball there. Okay, they've won it here. We're committing players forwards. We look something like this, right? They're gonna, as quick as where in this situation, they will be very direct with their counter attack. So they'll pass it through here, pass it through there, and what they really want is to exploit this space in behind here. Okay. Now, normally, I wouldn't really focus on this, and I'll just say they like to counterattack. But one thing I noticed was that they're actually quite good at it, and it's probably the thing that worries me the most. So let me see where it is. This is the thing that worries me the most because they're very good at these. This is for a different one. Ignore that. So this is a quick move. No, not that one. It's this one. So this was a goal against Partizan. So I'm not sure where the ball is there, actually. Oh, whoops. Where's it gone? Okay, so this is a goal against Partizan. Ball's there, I think. That's right. Is that the ball?
Looks like it.
But anyway, the ball ends up back over here, right? So it's not, it's not the counter in the sense of what I showed, but it is like a fast breakaway. So their players are not in their block, blah blah blah, etc. The ball drops here, and they've got a 3v4. Well, I guess 4v4 maybe. But anyway, they bring it down, pass it to this player, and the reason why I've got these numbers in the corner is to show you how quick this is. So this player literally goes over there to this player. 1 second later, this player, there's literally like one touch passing, is going to bang it to this player here. And then immediately this player here, the same 1 second later, this player here is going to knock it over. He's going to run with the ball over here. Should have rechecked, really, shouldn't I? As these players are running this way, these players are running this way, defenders are running this way. This player is going to run with the ball. A couple seconds later, he's going to then pass it out wide to this player. He's going to lay it off, so he's going to run onto it. Yeah, 6:14. Yeah, 6:14. Lays his pass off. It's going to come in and then bang into the goal, and they score from that position. So their ability to be able to, and this is what I'm saying. This is like the worrier part for me, is that they get this ball here, they literally knock it about each other, they then manage to progress with the ball very, very fluidly, and then they are able to then end up in this position here where they're laying the ball off. That's what I'm saying. Between here and there is 7 seconds, so it's pretty quick. Really.
You know what's funny? I did the same thing for one part of the defense where I timed it.
I did debate keeping the timer in, but then I thought, no, I'm not going to risk it.
No, it
but
was for that one that I sent you a video of. I was thinking I got to get a timer for this because he's on the ball for too long.
Yeah. No, definitely. But yeah, but that's just an example of how quick they like to play. And then whilst this one here isn't necessarily a what's it called? Isn't a breakaway. The premise is still the same. So this player's got the ball here, and he literally pings it through here, so directly down here to this player here. And as soon as this player gets the ball, it's literally one touch over here, bang to there, and then this. So this is the this is one of the midfielders, I believe, and then you've then got he then progresses the ball. So let me just try and make more sense of this. So this is one of the attacking midfielders he's dropped. This is one of the midfielders who is then going to progress on. There is also a left back. I can't remember what his name is. Not Nale, I think his name is Nale. He's also progressing down here, and they're overloading this flank. And then basically what they're doing is because they're so quick, they're losing their markers. So that's what I'm saying. So you got this nice little pass here, and then this player passes it to the left back who has progressed beyond, and then he's literally going to just lay that off into that space there, and then they're in this position. So, and again, I don't know how quick this was, but it was a similar pace to this one I showed. Straight through the middle there, lay off to this player, who then lays it off to the mid, or pass it to the left back, and then he then passes it inside, so then they're able to go. And this is what I mean. Like this player here is being marked by this player. You know, are we probably going to defend this better? Probably. But the point is that they're going so quickly that they're trying to lose their markers. And that's in a nutshell how they will try to progress against us if they're looking to counter-attack against us. And realistically, are they probably going to do this more likely to us? Yes. But if that doesn't happen, what they will do is that they will look to build from the back, which, and like JC said, they do tend to. They haven't really changed as much. Like I'm surprised they didn't. Like for example, they played the same against Partizan Belgrade in their first leg as they did in their second leg against Legia, even though they were winning 4-1. Like if you're winning 4-1, you'd think you go more defensive, but they didn't. So that leads me to think actually maybe they will look to try and have the ball a bit more. So let's have a look at how this would work. So let's say we got the ball. We're kind of like in a mid-ish sort of block like that. Let's say got a player up here, got an attacking midfielder who probably will be there, something like this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just trying to remember who was who now. Yeah, something like that, right? Okay, so it'll be something like this, something like this, something like this, something like this. Now, generally speaking, their left back, when I've watched them, is more attacking than the right back. So really, when they've got the ball, say, over here, it would look something like this, okay? A very lopsided, kind of like a rest defensive free. But this player will kind of stand in the middle, I guess, to kind of act as a pivot player for them to then either progress into this line or to then, if they need extra players in this line, to then go there. So you'll have something like that. And then you see this in a screenshot that I've got. I can't believe I've got this many screenshots of AEK Larnaca, to be honest. And then the reason why I've got that down there, so this one is a little bit different, but you've got your double pivot there, you've got your centre backs there, I've done this because the left back is just off the screen there. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Have I miscounted there? 5. No, that's right. So yeah, that's 10. So you got your front line there. So it'll be your striker, it'll be one of the midfielders, and it'll be the other forward players. You got your right back there, left back's over here, double pivot here. So normally this player's a little bit more withdrawn, but this is the kind of shape that you're likely to see. That's other things. Now, generally, when the way they want to progress in these situations is they like to be, well, I say they like, really, they probably like to progress down the middle. But the way it ends up working is that using rotations, they like to go down the wings. So, for example, okay, let's go to here. So let's say, you know, we're pushing out to these players here, blah, blah, blah. You know, we're pushing out to these players. They're going to look for this ball out here to Gnarly or whoever is there. And they'll use their front players to draw the defense out of position. So, like, for example, I know I showed you that static front line. It's quite often you'll see one of these players dropping into the midfield to basically make like a free midfield, really. And it's very, very similar to like what Pino does or what Eze did, that kind of thing. And then the idea is, you know, you want to draw the centre backs away from this back line. And the reason why what they want that is because, so let's say they do get the ball here, we're coming out here. They're going to look for combinations and rotations to then facilitate basically a situation where they want to end up something like this. So I don't know, let's say that they've managed to ping the ball out there. You know, maybe one of our centre backs is a bit slow coming out or something like that. And then suddenly, you know, pass the ball to Marin. He's then able to make an overlap, blah, 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 something like that. What they want is to then whip a quick first time cross into this space here. They're not the kind to, for example, they don't want that, basically. They don't want us to sit in our low block and then just hitting crosses into the box because they think that we'll deal with them. What they want is this situation, so then they've got that space there and they've got these players running on into that space, so they're able to do it. And there was one attack which kind of exemplified this. So number one, so they got a throw in. You're going to throw it to this player here, get to that player. So you can see, I thought Partizan were a bit rubbish, to be honest. There is a Partizan player there as well. I thought Partizan were a bit rubbish, to be honest. But they're going to pass it over here, receive the ball here, and you can see your double pivot. You've got your left back who's more advanced, your right back who's less advanced, and obviously your two centre backs. Pings it straight out to the left back, okay? Then passes it through here. So then this player is going to pick up the ball, then runs with it. And this is what I mean. They use the players to draw out the centre backs. Again, I think Partizan were a bit rubbish, to be honest, over the two legs. And I'd expect us to deal with this a lot better and a lot more aggressively. But anyway, they get the ball, turns, and then suddenly you're in this situation. So, you know, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think this is more Partizan being rubbish, to be honest. But then they're able. A minute. Oh, I missed number 4. I knew there was one missing. Go to there. Yeah. Okay. End up in this position. And then this player then ends up running at them. And then this player is going to come over here, going to receive the ball there. And this is what I mean. This was a first time cross. It doesn't come off, but that's what they want. You know, they're trying to look for quick crosses into that box. Is there anything else I have? And that is them. That is them in a nutshell. The only other thing that I would like to mention is that they do you know what they do fancy a little press. They do fancy a little press. So let me see. So let me go back to paint. So on their press. So this is when they press Legia. Legia seem to go into like a 3-2 sort of build up. So obviously that's very similar to us. You got two players here who are, I guess, kind of there for these players, and this one's there for that player. And then they got two players here who are stuck on this this one here, stuck on a double pivot. I guess as well, you got this player coming in, so then this player can then push up onto this one if need be. But they do fancy a little press. I'm not going to do that one because that was already done for us. But they will look to press us, and they will look to. I don't know. I'm not really too sure what the purpose of their press is because, well, actually, no, I do know what the purpose of it is. What they want to catch you in is they want to catch you in a state where, you are. They want to catch you like in this state, really. So rather than you being in your low block and your whatever, actually let me do it on here because I think it'll make more sense. So like if let's say they press us, so if we put our players here like this, something like that, blah blah blah, right? It'll look something like this. Like if they press us, so they've put 2 players here, 2 players here, this player's like over here. I don't know, maybe this player's pushed up here, something like that. Whatever. Like what they want is because obviously right now we're not set in a defensive shape. So then obviously if they win the ball, say here, Munoz is all the way up here. These players are going to be here. Canvo's probably going to be a bit wider than he'd like to be. Then you got Mateta and Sa who are out of the picture as well. We're not set. We're not exactly in these positions. I think that's why they want to do it. And that's why I'm kind of talking about it in my section because I think there is an attacking purpose to their press. And then is there anything else I've got to say? Against Legia, long balls. Okay, the only other question I suppose you could ask is, are they just gonna lump it long? So like I said, they didn't really change the way they played based on the 3 games that I watched, even though the last one they were already winning 4-1. So they could have very well done that. So I don't think they're going to lump it long because they didn't really tend to lump it long that often in these games. The only times they might lump it long is if they feel like they can exploit this space. That's the only time that they ever do it. And there wasn't that often, to be honest.
I noticed that they do it if they can't play out from the back as well. They'll just hit it towards the corners and then one of their wingers will run onto it. But other than that, I don't really notice the long ball that much.
Yeah. I think if they want to get rid of it or they find it hard, then they will.
To be fair, it's weird. I disagree with what you said about the press. I feel like they do press quite a lot. It feels like
they do.
It feels like a bit of a mindless press, though, in my eyes. Because it's like
I feel like I don't know because I feel like they I feel like they only really tended to press like there.
Yeah, I agree. But what they did in my eyes is that the front 3 pressed, and also 2 of the midfielders went as well. So they'd only leave 1 person back in the midfield, and then.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I saw is they tried to go man for man,
mm-hmm.
and then if the goalkeeper comes involved, then basically the opposite team, if they can pass the ball around, they're basically just giving their whole team the run around.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have seen is when Paphos battered them, really. Paphos should have had about 8-9 goals. They couldn't finish their dinner. They finished 4-2, but still they should have got 8 or 9. What Paphos did was they passed around the back so much that their front 3 and the 2 midfielders were literally just running after the ball all game because their goalkeeper was getting involved in the passing. They were just outnumbered. And basically, all their players pushed up so far that they basically just left all 4 defenders to fend for themselves. And basically what the goalkeeper did was just clip the one ball over all their players, and they had basically a 4v4.
Mm-hmm.
And the defenders were just left out to dry.
Yeah.
So obviously that goes into my bit a little bit, but that's what I saw. Like you can use their press against them quite easily.
Well, to be fair, because that's pretty much all I have to say on my bit. I mean, the only other bits really to say are like sometimes one of the centre backs in the midfielder might swap. The 8s are normally happy to run into space. Sometimes they play a single pivot, but then they'll drop a player if they need to progress. But other than that, that's pretty much all that bit was on mine. And yeah,
cool. Do you want to run through some more comments real quick?
Yeah. Right. So Where do we get to? 12 subs. Wharton's going to score a 40-yard free kick or something random that'll make us remember this game for way longer than we should.
If
Good
Wharton
morning, Kevin.
scores, it'll be his first goal for us.
Yeah, it would. And he'll do his backflip. Didn't Larnaca beat Alkmaar 4-0 in match week 1? Yes, they did. They battered them. I didn't actually end up watching the highlights.
I watched the highlights for it. Alkmaar all over the place.
Yeah.
And basically, they were just caught out with the speed that Larnaca go forwards, really.
Yeah,
they couldn't handle it.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I would say...
It reminded me of Villa a little bit.
I didn't talk about how we can defend against them. My bad. But basically, like, I think the main... I think if we're in a low block, they're not going to get past us unless one of our players makes a mistake. And to be honest, you know, how do you defend a counter? It's like, you know, just stand the man up, try and get bodies back, and try not to. Because I think that's something that would... I think that's the only thing that really worries me for this game, is that they are very good with their 1-2s when they are countering. And I think if they then, you know, if one of our players maybe makes a mistake, gets caught out, then I think that will give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, different tactics will be used. Normally I would agree. And I think maybe they will be perhaps more defensive than normal, but they didn't change even when they were going into that second leg 4-1 up. Like, surely if you're ever going to be defensive and not worry so much about the attack when you're 4-1 up, I don't know. I feel like it's then. We always struggle if we have too much possession. Yeah, I think we do struggle against breaking down teams like that. Apparently, Uche, Cardines, and Esse are off, so maybe they will feature on the bench, because I think it's probably half time in it.
Yeah.
And then talking about trains.
Choo choo.
Choo choo.
All right. Let's go. So, first off, I think Dan already alluded to it a little bit about how they play. What I'll say first of all is I do not want to sound big-headed in any way, shape, or form. But this is the first time their manager has played against a bigger team, let's say, or a team that comes to a higher standard. And this is the first time that they've played someone like us in Europe, that manager for Larnaca. So they very well could, because of the situation, they very well could do what Kiev did and what Fredrikstad did, where they sit in a low block and they look to counter us. They're already very good with a counter, as Dan said, but they could very well do a lot more sitting deep and then waiting to hit us on the counter, compared to what they have been doing against other teams like Legia, like in the Cypriot League. So that is very much a possibility, but for the sake of this TACT-EAGLE, I'm going to analyze how they have been playing in the league, how they have done their Europa League qualifier, and how they have played in the Conference League so far. So, as me and Dan have sort of spoken about it a little bit, in possession, they are 4-3-3, but out of possession, Pons will take up that right centre-back role, and they will sort of play a back five. And essentially, this is the same formation that we play. And as Dan said, the left back is a little bit more attacking, but, you know, basically same formation as us. But what you will notice is how wide they play that back five. It's quite interesting why they do it. So they play extremely wide and extremely open, and it's basically all to help benefit the counter-attack. So they will always look for, you know, I always forget the ball. They always
never forget the ball.
Never forget the ball, especially if it's football, because the ball's quite important. I'm not going to lie. It's always for having that extra man if you win the ball. So like Dan said, they want to win the ball in key areas because of their press, and they want to have an option that is in space. So let's say Wharton tries to pass to Mateta and that pass gets cut out. They want as many options as possible. So by doing this and by having the centre back so wide, Mateta can't cover multiple people at once just by like shadowing them. So, for example, if I don't know, if they were compact and tight like this, let's say, just as a hypothetical, if Mateta stood here, you would say reasonably he'd be covering this pass and this pass just by standing here. But because of how wide they are, it's almost impossible for him to guard more than one person. So if he stands here, that pass there is very on. That pass here is still very on. So just widening the pitch as much as possible is what they're trying to do. And it has its benefits when you actually win the ball, but winning the ball is a concern. And the reason why it's a concern is because they might be like this. They might have, a good line. Like it might be nice and straight. It might be a little bit skewed with one of the players going up further than the other, but they still want to keep that line as straight as possible. Only issue with that is that if a player which is in between the lines, like Mateta is in my example here, one of the centre backs will step up very, very soon. So they'll step up extremely soon in this sort of area, but then the second you hit this area, they will not make, I guess, a challenge, let's say. So they want to step up and engage, not two balls. They want to engage as soon as possible. And the reason why they want to do that is because they play such a high line. So quite similar to Ange ball in a weird way. They sit so high up in the pitch just to keep the pressure on the opposite team. They want to be a team that completely dominates the game, which is why I said that I doubt that they play like this away from home against us. But if they do, great. It's going to be a more enjoyable game to watch for both fans. But they're very keen to step out of their line and to make that challenge. So, how do we look to exploit stuff like this? And I think it's quite simple. Because of the width that they play and how they set up, I think it's quite plausible for me to quite simply say, stand in the half space, stand in the pockets, in between the lines, and if the ball comes in, you're going to move them around. They're going to have to commit. And because of such a high line that they sit, I think Ismail Assar is going to be the key to this game. Purely because from looking at the examples that I've got, I think you can see where I'm going with this. So let's go into one of my pictured examples. So this is both of all the images I've got is from the first game, the 4-1 against Legia, and the second one, which was 2-1 against Legia. This is the 4-1 game where they actually won, but Legia scored the first goal in the game. And it was done with relative ease, really. So the ball got played to this player from here. So they split the line straight down the middle, all the way there with one pass. And
wow.
I'm a bit surprised in how he made it through this player and these two players to make that one pass, which got, what's that? 1, 2, and then the defensive line was behind. So he split two lines with one pass, basically. And look at the amount of space that this guy has here. It's loads of space. And when I go to the next one, you can see that this, you can't really see it because it was off screen, but this centre-back was standing on this side of the defender, but they made the executive decision to move across as fast as possible. But what the player done very smartly was nudge the ball in front for this player to run onto, and he basically just rounds the keeper. Look, the second that they get near the box, they just give up. Like, look, he is literally shoulder to shoulder to him. And then, a second later, he's got this much gap. If that doesn't show the slowness of their centre-backs, I think it's quite damning. He basically just rounds the keeper and scores a nice goal there. And bear in mind, this ball, this whole move is done by 2 passes, Dan. I could see Mark making that pass. I could see Lacroix making that pass. I could see Wharton making that pass. Because there's a lot of players doing that. And really and truly, this player didn't do anything special with their movement. They literally just stood in the half space in between these guys and the centre backs down here. They just got loads of space. Didn't do anything fancy. He just stood there, waited his time, and they found him. Here, so you can see that their defensive shape. So you can see that this is one of their centre backs. He's pushed out to try and get the ball because there was sort of like a 50-50 here. But for some reason, both of these players went up for it, all for it. But this guy's out of position. He's trying to get back. You can see this is meant to be a line, but 15's playing 7 on. What they do is they basically just hit it over the top. And then you've got this guy who's eking out a gap between this guy, and this player has got such a big gap already. And bear in mind, he started behind the 15, quite a way behind the 15, actually. And then in the next slide, he's, I wouldn't say miles ahead, but he's there. And another thing, not great at back post. So bear in mind, this is the right back here. I mean, the left back. Jogging, he's not there, and this is the right back. There's if this is Tyreek Mitchell, he's going to be standing about here with Glasner's system. So in our system, you'd have Sarr here, you'd have Mateta here, and you'd have Mitchell here, and you'd probably have someone like Kamada here or something like or Pino. Like if you look at it in the context of our players, you'd have a lot more going forward in this scenario. And remember, once again, it's one pass over the top and just a little bit of pace. And he does close the gap here, but the goalkeeper takes he's standing on his line until he actually whips the ball in here. So the goalkeeper comes sliding out really late and doesn't actually make it in time. So the goalkeeper's really prone to standing on his line for a really long time until he actually makes the decisive decision to move out. Here, this is one I showed Dan. This is actually very nice football from Legia. So basically, ball goes in there, and then this player makes a run through this gap here into the space, because obviously this guy was one of the centre backs. He was standing here and he pushed up to close the ball, trying to make it almost impossible for this guy to get out. So obviously he was here, moved forward. So obviously you can see the space has cleared up behind him. Ball goes in here. This player backheels it here as this player runs in behind. This player takes a first-time pass over the top, and as you can see, these players are groups. These Larnaca players are basically marking each other at this point. Ball comes over. He's got loads of time. You can see this defender's caught his man. This guy's lost his man. He's clear, so because this is where he should be, or he should be, or he should be. I'm not exactly sure. But right, this is the striker here. He got back well, but no one else seems to have. And like I said here, Dan, that ball is come across here to this player. Can you see the time, Dan? 23:50. How long do you think this player was on the ball before he actually got closed down or had a shot?
Well, I'd like to think it was a couple of seconds.
4 seconds. And look at the difference between where their players were. And bear in mind, these two, 1 and 2, that is these guys, 1 and 2. So somehow they've gotten further away from the ball in 4 seconds. And this poor guy, number 7, actually ran past the ball to go and stand this side.
There's a big gap there for a shot, isn't there, really?
Yeah, you're thinking, what's going on? And if anything, when I watched it back, I thought that this player was going to slip him in, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
That would have been the smart thing to do. But still, he had so much time on the ball to make all these different decisions. And, I'm not saying it's a quality of Legia Warsaw because they're a very good team, but like a little bit more decision making. Like if this Adam, like if for example, if this is Adam Wharton, he's finding this pass, and
Oh
then
yeah,
Munoz
yeah,
is
yeah.
scoring that every day of the week. So I think that there are definitely ways that we can get at them. There definitely are. Let me go through my notes. I've got high line. They stay wide for counter-attacking purposes. They're poor at closing down. They don't press inside the box. Keeper's not very commanding. Struggle at the back post.
Struggle.
For us, be in the half spaces, quick passes, move their press around, tire them out, try and go in behind. Use Sar's pace to hit the back line. They struggle with set pieces, which is one thing that I thought was quite interesting. 29 errors leading to shots in 7 games. That's because they try and play out from the back so much. Like you said, they don't like to hit the long ball. If we press them, they're not that confident on the ball, and we've got very good press. And
Yeah.
press, even if you play through it, we've still got a lot of people back. That could be a way for us to get forwards. Because of the speed that they go forwards, if you're not hitting them straight on the break, it'll be very good to slow the game down. Just run them about a bit. And finally, it's probably quite obvious, but I know JP scored a hat-trick, but I think he still needs to be more clinical in front of goal. Because if they do sit deeper, he's not going to have as many chances as he has been having. And it's going to get to a point where him missing those chances is going to cost us. Like, I wouldn't say that he cost us 3 points because without his on the weekend, because without his 3 goals, we don't even get a point. But if he could hit the target, then we walk away with all 3. So I think being more clinical in Europe is probably that little bit more important. Obviously, you have to be clinical as a striker, but doing it in Europe is going to be a little bit more important because there are going to be less chances because everyone is playing at the top of their level because it's European football.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything that you want to add to that, mate?
No, I thought that was I think that explains it all perfectly. Yeah.
So, score predictions. Normally, the host throws himself under the bus, but because I didn't do the attack, I'm going to throw you under the bus.
I've already made up my mind. I'm going to say 3-1. I think they'll hit. I think they'll get a bit of luck out of us on the break, but I don't think they're going to be as defensive as Fredrikstad or Dinamo Kiev. I think they're going to try and win, and especially after beating RZ 4-0, I think they're going to maybe be a bit more confident.
Mm-hmm. I predicted 3-1.
Really? You actually did?
Look on the notes I sent you like a few hours ago. Tell me what it says.
Oh, Caden Rodney scored for the under-21s. Oh, yeah, fair play. Yeah.
So basically, I said if they play like how they have been playing, 3-1. If they play low block, 2-0 Palace. Do you want to go through some final comments, please?
Surely Sarr is going to run straight through the back line for a goal. Sorry, I've just seen Pat's comment afterwards. For a goal fest. I mean, if they're playing that high line, he's got to be the guy, surely. And then I'll put it up, whatever. And Pat says, such a big gyat, more like. Yes. Big up, Damo. Hope you're all good, mate. And then now Pat has the nerve to pause you, JC. Slip him in, apparently. And
sometimes you just have to do a nice little pass.
And Kevin's saying he went 3-1 as well. And yes, 3-2 in the Stevenage game. 15 remaining.
Cool. We have smashed that. It's 59 minutes, 30 seconds.
I think that's the first time we've done it in sub 1 hour in ages.
That's as long as we don't keep talking right now. So, guys, thank you very, very much for watching. This is TACT-EAGLE. Like, share, subscribe, and as always, let's hope the outro plays and up the palace.
Eagles!